All right. Well, welcome to Unsupervised Learning.
Hey, Daniel.
Yeah, can you give a little bit of background about yourself and what you're working on?
Yes. So I'm Sarit. I'm the VP product management for application security and ASPM as part of Cortex Cloud in Palo Alto Networks. I can kind of come from background of engineering and product from several different areas, mostly in the last years, cloud security and application security. I always say that I come to the application security space from handling and kind of using all these different tools of application security and trying to write or have the right experience for both developers and security people to kind of, I don't know if to love, but at least like security, to
Mhm.
be able to actually solve the problem for the security people and not have so much problems on the production sides, but also make sure developers understand what they need to fix and why they need to fix it.
Okay, that's great. And I was looking at the site and the platform prior to joining. It seems like it's becoming quite cohesive with all the different pieces. And I heard somewhere else that you're looking to like unify into like a single data lake, which is something that I'm really excited about. I would love to hear more about that.
So basically, Palo Alto Networks had a product called Prism Cloud, which handled cloud security and also application security, and another product called Cortex that handled the SIEM and the SOC side of things. And in the last few months, we actually merged these two into one data lake in which you can do everything, all the information you need is just residing in one data lake, whether these are attacks coming from the SOC or cloud posture findings or application security ones, and think about the potential of having everything within the same data lake. Like in one click, you can ask questions that in the past it wasn't simple to do that because the information reside on different systems. You don't necessarily have the context. And if you think about application security in this sense, the thing that application security lacks the most is the context. Like I see so many things
Yes.
on code which is not good, but I don't know if they are really going to production or they're going to be exploitable. Are they going to be used by my application? So one of the things in application security is that you have just too many issues. Usually developers just either ignore them or they get mad on the security people because they block them or on every build or PR. And you kind of there is no balance in understanding, okay, these are the things that need to be fixed. And when we introduce Cortex Cloud and then we will introduce ASPM as well, we actually say we bring everything together. You don't need to, look at different things, whether you have different scanners, whether you have different version control or different CI/CD systems. If you want to see whether you have different clouds, if you want to see everything, you can come to our environment, come to our solution, and have the platform you need for um, everything within the same place. It means that we give the context we get from the cloud. It's not just you see things for application, for the code side of things, but you see things that are code side, but then they are connected into the cloud one, and the cloud one are being connected to the SOC one. So it's actually one system that covers everything that a security person cares about with regards to how you see things within cloud. And we also acknowledge the fact that cloud is growing very fast, and application to cloud is growing very fast. AI is bringing bunch of more code into the environment. Many of our code is being written by different LLM models. All of these things also bring security issues, and they don't solve the problem of having a lot of problems before production. But what we bring to this one is saying you have a lot of risk. We will help you to prioritize them, but not just to prioritize them, but also to prevent them. Because
Mm.
most of the solutions say, I will prioritize everything for you, which is great, but the funnel keeps growing. You cannot kind of manage it. And what we are saying, we will allow you to actually do a much more flexible and recommended prevention. How do I do the right guardrails within my pull request? How do I do the right guardrails within my build? And this is using all the things we know from production and from the actual runtime environment, whether it's actually redeployed, whether it's open to the internet, whether it's had an access to sensitive data. all the questions you can think of on how my application will look in production. And this is something that we have natively because we have everything on the data lake, and the potential is, of course, huge.
Yeah, that is absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited to hear this. I was wondering like who's gonna kind of move in this direction first. This is very exciting. So a good example of this that I always go to, I was at Robinhood doing vulnerability management and application security. I was in charge of those two groups during Log4j. And so what everyone had to do was get their spreadsheets ready and start pulling down manual lists and trying to cross-reference where in the actual technical infrastructure it is. Okay, which app is that? Okay, who actually owns that app? Who do I actually ping to try to go out here? And I'm like, what we actually need is a single place where this stuff is located that actually understands, is this live right now? Is it a system that's running, or is it a system that we could turn on? What version of the actual application or the library is enabled, right? Because it could be that one of the versions is vulnerable and one of them isn't, right? Who's the owner? All of these things. So like asset management just being natively built into it, understanding ownership being natively built into it. Just really exciting. So do you have also like the business understanding potentially that you could bring in? So for example, we're worried about these things because we're in this particular industry, we're in this particular country. We are particularly concerned about the exfil of particular data because we're in defense or something like that, which to me is really interesting because it can automatically do what we've been trying to do in information security for so long, is prioritization of vulns. Before we're using vulnerability information to prioritize vulns, but when what we should have been doing is saying, no, what are our actual assets? What do we actually care about as a business? That automatically does it for you if you have that context.
So very good question. And just reiterating about Log4j, yes, it usually comes in the worst case, being Christmas on the Log4j
Yeah.
one. And it's a good example because people mostly didn't understand where their log4j is actually located, like where they use the actual vulnerable package or the version actually, and whether it's just on the code or also in production. And all
Yes.
of these different things are super complicated when you have to do it. In in a lot of stress, and you already know that there is an exploit available, and people try to exploit. So it's super. I would say too late in the process. And you mentioned another thing which is super important: trying to figure out from the cloud uh, who is the owner is
Yes.
good, but it takes too much. Like it's too much and too long to understand who is the owner. The developer already did like several other things between now and then,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really kind of, if you think about it, you try not to block to be able to make the developer velocity very fast, but in the end, because you kind of bother him with problems from production, you kind of bring him tasks that were not planned originally to be solved. So while you try to make the developer velocity fast, you actually make it slower by trying to figure out who is the owner. And owners tend to don't be that simple of understanding who the one, when you see a CVE within a package, like who is the one that's owned it. The last one that changed the file, it may change like different version. The one that actually added this package into the code. So it can be a lot of different owners. And when you're close to the code, it's much easier to understand who is the owner because he's the committer of the things, and he can
Mm.
block things before even going into production. Going back to your question about the business impact of things, and also what we can say about the industry or the industry we are in. So yes, one of the things we always say about ASPM is that it's kind of connect the business with the security. If you think about all the evolution of the different SPM stuff, it was about infrastructure, about network, about identity, about data. But
Mm-hmm.
application is about actually connecting what the customer knows about his application, and the owning, the business owner, the criticality of the the business, the fact that, for example, I can later understand whether this application is mostly vulnerable, for example, for data theft.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably try to harden it based on this type of kind of what application is doing versus what are the potential of being exploited within. And this is something we're also going to add more in the future in trying to understand what is the application inside and allow you to bring the relevant guardrails to help you solve this problem. So yes, business is a very important part. We are going to make sure it's going to be very aligned with what we do on the security side. I think application is the first time it actually connects everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about application, and this is one of the things which is super uh, um, exciting about what we are doing, is that while in other places you can define application for the code, you can define application for the runtime. What we do is say, we don't care where you start to build your application. You can start from the runtime, you can start from the code. The system will automatically enrich everything um, for you and actually connect all the relevant assets
Mm.
into one application. And you mentioned something which is also important. Um, if you think about whether am I like, for example, you said I want to find all the places I have log4j. Think about a repository that you didn't scan,
Yeah.
so you don't even know if you have this problem or not. And one of the things we invest in our solution is making sure that you have a good visibility of what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Because if I see a risk and I don't know what is the coverage, then the risk may not be correct. So it's not the right place to go.
Yeah. So for that piece, are you talking about like continuous discovery, continuous like monitoring external attack surface to just like be aware and then bring that into the context, into the data lake if it's not already there?
So it's already there. It's part of the solution, having the attack surface as well. As I mentioned, we kind of brought all these different modules, different signals into the same place, and then beside providing insight by ourselves to our customers, we also allow the customers to query things they care about. They can kind of
Mm.
do it via the graph, or they can do it via like our query language, and they can query basically everything. One of the discussion is that if we think about the amount of different things we have within the system, whether it's the SOC environment, the AppSec persona, the runtime, the posture management, they can create something that will be kind of an overlay of everything. The system brings some of its own, but it's also open for everyone that wants to query it. So very exciting, and we have a lot of super cool things that are planned as part of our SPM solution. I really believe that if we think about the next generation application security and how it connects within the cloud and the fact that everything is super fast, this is the way to go. Kind of connect between the things, bring insights. I think one of the things we see is that people don't have they don't want to search within a search engine. They prefer to ask a question.
Yes.
And in my opinion, one of the things we are doing on the ASPM is trying to give the answers instead of kind of let you go into different tables or different places to look for your information, but rather give you insights on what the things you can do and the recommendation on how to prevent it. And,
Yeah.
in theory, I would like to make sure that we have a very good prevention in which what you see in cloud was only created in cloud and not something that was kind of created by code.
Mm. Yeah, that's really interesting. So, I mean, what I see kind of happening from this is like you could roll this out, and suddenly, all of a sudden, your users are way larger than the security team, because this is so vastly important to the entire company. Because they likely don't have a universal place to go and ask questions, and what you're likely to end up with, as you know, is like you're going to have the best asset management in the company is going to be this tool. So people who aren't even thinking security necessarily, they're going to be like, I need the current list of this. What's facing the internet? Like lots of different users could potentially need this.
And again, in the context of the business, like
Yes.
these are the assets that are part of my application. It's not just an asset. I can know that this asset is part of an application, and the application is owned by someone. This is the business owner of it. This is the one that needs to fix things. We're also talking about the option to kind of group things based on applications, so you can see that you can see based on the permission you have, the application you want to see. And all of this is coming into the context, the code context, the cloud context, the things we have from the runtime, and also the one we give from get from the business application. So yes, you are correct. This data lake, in a way, is our secret for this is and the things we do with the data, which is based on AI and the
Yes.
ability to actually learn from the data, is what will make what makes the solution to be such a potential for, as you mentioned, like security people. In the end, they cannot chase risks. They need someone to be able to fix things before they do that. They don't do policies today because it's hard, because it's not, because developers tend to say, no, you just blocked us. We cannot bring velocity. We cannot bring more application into, more business value to our customers. And we want to say, no, if you do it right and you do the right guardrails and you will do prevention in mind, but in a way that you have all the context, then your velocity will be increased and
Yeah.
not decreased.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. So what I've been telling everybody is, customers or whoever is asking, they want to know what AI is going to do for attackers and what specifically they're going to try to build. And what I'm telling everyone is, that thing that I sent you, that UEC thing, is that attackers are going to build unified context for targets. So what they're going to do is they're going to send out agents. They're going to find your list of employees. They're going to pull all their social media. They're going to find all your DNS. They're going to pull all your domains and your subdomains, and they're going to start pulling all those different assets. And then they can start interrogating them for open ports and blah, blah, blah. So they are essentially building a unified data lake for you as the target. And then the next time they have a new target, they go and do the exact same thing. And then they have agents that say, okay, given the context that you have, how do we attack? What social engineering campaign do we write? What exploit do we launch on this application? So my whole thing to everyone is, attackers are building this to attack you. You need to have a better version for yourself. And I
And
just
a better insight.
absolutely love, I absolutely love that you have such a prominent company in Palo Alto actually doing this and doing this quickly. I thought it was going to take much longer. I'm really, really happy to hear this.
Yes, so it's actually already available. It's already on the same platform, which is kind of the data lake is there. We're just adding more and more content into it. And I really believe that while this data lake improves cloud posture, improves SOC, it also improves AppSec to be able to really, make sure you don't get into production and wait for a lot of time to kind of get the fix, understand who is the person, try to figure out if you can fix the issues and deploy back, and then do testing and then deploy back, kind of shorten these cycles and making sure that we will provide you with all the information you need to remediate stuff, but also make sure you prevent in the future similar problems.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So tell me again all the different controls that we have in the platform. So you have the ability to monitor incoming code and like inspect and reject. Like what are the other control points that you have based on
So
something that you see in the lake?
yes, so we have a lot of different controls. We start from the IDE, like the
Okay.
developer environment. When he writes the code, he can see everything we know within that. Of course, it's limited to what he's currently editing, but this is the first time you will find the
Yeah.
system and the inputs and the outputs and the inputs. The second one will be when you try, well, there is another one before the commit, but it's very special to specific use cases. Uh, the second one will be when you do the pull request. This will be the second one we can check and kind of enforce. The other one is just monitoring and understanding what it is. But You can enforce things when you go into the PR and say, I don't want to do critical CVE for a repo that goes to production, and I know this one is open to the network. The third one will be around build. I can do block the builds, put it as a step in the CI, and have all the context of understanding on what I'm actually blocking. And of course, you have all the different monitoring of having like the periodic scanning on a branch and on history. So you have a lot of things you can do
Mm-hmm.
and get all this information. And you also have the option to do some of it on the image side of things, and even in the future also for admission control. If you do it for this kind of software. So we have
Mm.
different options to guard, so put the guardrails in place. And as mentioned before, we are a great believer in platformization and the option to actually pull in information from different other scanners. So we don't limit ourselves to the things that come only from our system. We actually collect everything we have from the different. It can be different application security solutions. It can be different version control. It can be different CI/CD systems. We collect everything in and provide our enrichment. So it's very important for us not, to give the value even before you use the scanners. Make sure that you have all the value in the enrichment, the option to create applications, all these coverage things I talked about, and give value to our customers. I would say in minimal time.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And then other components in the ecosystem are also adding to the data lake, right? So you also have that richness.
Yes. So let's start from the beginning. The first one will be the code that we bring into the lake, the code finding. I would say different code finding can be open source, first party code, secrets, misconfiguration, all of these things, APIs. The second one will be everything we bring from the CI/CD systems and the version control, like posture management. Think about the fact that I see a secret on a version control that's not protected by let's say MFA, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So this also kind of where the code goes into is also another signal. We have all the signals of the Cortex cloud, as we say, the identity, the data, the network, the infrastructure, everything we have, which is part of a solution for setup, and then all the things we have from our endpoints, from our agents within the cloud, and all the things we have from the attacker's perspective for the SOC. So everything you can think of in this area
Mm.
is to our environment. Is a very big data lake with a lot of options to do the query.
That's really powerful. So you can build basically an entire program off of constructing a really high quality set of questions. And
Yes,
then
correct.
basically have the answers to those questions trigger different pipeline or workflows.
Exactly. And also kind of lead users to improve their security posture by creating the right journey, because we have all this different information. We can kind of guide them to say, if you want to do in this place, do that one, and then do it in kind of a stages of phases.
Mm. Well, Sarit, this is super, super exciting. I'm going to go and actually research a lot more about this. And I can't wait to see updates. Where can people learn more about the platform and what you're releasing and what's already released?
So everything that we already released is in our site, and the second one will be about our announcement of the new product going on the 22nd of July.
Oh, great. Yeah, we will look forward to that. And yeah, anything else you want to add?
No, I think I just want to say that I'm super exciting. As I mentioned, kind of coming back to my background, I feel that this is part of my mission to make developers and security like more friendly to each other, I would say,
Mm.
and kind of make sure the developer doesn't see security as something that they need to something they need to do or ignore, but actually have this as part of the workflow, and make sure security have all the information to be able to do the right security decisions.
Awesome. Well, I think this will definitely move us in that direction. Thanks for your time.
Great. Thank you very much.